Welcome to Reboot. My name is Kelly Slessor and I'm delighted to be hosting this event brought to you by the City of Sydney by the New South Wales Government's Business Connect programme. That's a mouthful on a Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, I should say. Before we start, I want to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, traditional owners of the land, and pay my respects to elders, past, present and emerging, as well as acknowledging that we are all here today on different lands, and so acknowledge the traditional owners of all the lands from wherever you join us today. And it is a privilege and honour to do so. If this is your first Reboot session, and I can see lots of people that have come back, welcome, welcome. For those of you that are back, thanks for coming back. And I know this is going to be one of the highlights. Reboot is a series of 9 free business webinars developed in response to the pandemic. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. You've got the best name ever. Developed in response to the pandemic to support business recover, rebuild, engage and grow their customers and revenue. And it's been an amazing series that the City of Sydney and the New South Wales Government's Business Connect programme have put together. They're weekly masterclasses with some of Australia's leading business experts to share knowledge on topics like digital with me, branding, content creation, financial planning and social today with the beautiful Mya. We've got only 3 left. No, actually after this one, we've only got 2 left, which is insane. And I can't believe how quickly this has gone. And I've got to be honest, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I've loved hanging out with just really smart people. I've loved being able to bring those really smart people to you. And I've loved some of the insights that people have got. I loved last week where I got someone put in the chat message that they, whilst on the call, whilst on the workshop or webinar, they actually made a change to their about page and started ranking #1 on Google for their particular brand, which is awesome. So being able to actually take these insights and do something with them is what I really want to happen. So I'm really pleased about that. As I said, there's only 2 more to go. Next week, we have the amazing Sandra D from St. Frock and Sina from Nutty Donuts. So you're going to get some gold information from them. Don't forget to book your spot. It's Tuesdays from 12 to 1. Sessions are all recorded and follow-up EDMs are sent to you on Thursday with a link to the recording and the session. I am like ridiculously excited to bring you today's speaker, and I'm going to introduce you in a second, but Mya Nichol's going to cover off the secrets of the algorithm, the Insta algorithm that is continuously changing, tips to accelerate your business through social. And this is a real hands-on session. I've spent some time with the beautiful Mya and she just gives some real, you can jump off and get into it tips. So stay tuned. There's a Q&A function which you can use on the webinar today. Please, please, please write your questions in the Q&A function, not in the chat, because otherwise the amazing Katrina from the City of Sydney, who's pulling all this together, and Rachel have to go and get them and put them in the Q&A. So please put them in there. And we'll have some time at the end for Q&A today. I know we ran out last week, so it's going to be jam-packed. At the end of the session, we'll post a link to a survey, which we would love for you to fill in. It's 2 minutes, and what it just allows us to do is get some feedback on how well they are going and what we can improve in these sessions. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to the beautiful Mya. Now, Mya is an Instagram expert, and we talk a lot about experts in the industry, but she's just not an expert talking about it. She's an expert doing it. She started, and I'm going to ask her to tell her story, but she started in nursing. She kind of decided to have a look at this social stuff. And she has spent the last year really focusing in on her Instagram channel and growing that and understanding Instagram algorithm and producing content. She's a creative, a content producer, and just a phenomenal human being. And in the last 8 months, she has grown her Instagram account by 150,000. It can be done, people. And I know we spend a lot of time in these channels. And so for me, this session is just gold, because I think if we can spend less time in these channels, more time with our customers and converting our customers, and more time with our family and outdoors doing great things, then we just lead happier lives. So she's going to show you some hacks and trips and tips to be able to do that. So I'd like to welcome Mya. Everyone say hi, stick in the chat a little hi and welcome, and this is going to be awesome.
Hi,
how are you?
I'm so excited to be here.
Do you know what, I just want to quickly add to this, that I think what I love about this session is we've had some amazing experts on so far from all walks of life, and the majority, well, I'd say all of them have got 20-30 years experience in their industry. You've been doing this really focused for the last year or so, and if you don't mind me telling your age, Mya, I hope you don't hate me.
I'm 22.
22. So you've been doing this, and it just, for me, it shows that, you know, just this pure focus on something can really make a difference and drive change. But what I also love is the diversity of thinking, because Mya's in there, she's doing this, she's living this every day, and she's not in Australia as well, she's over in Utah. So we also get this international view that sometimes we don't get here. Sometimes Google controls what we see a lot of the time, so we do live in little bubbles and we get to see what the next door neighbor's doing. So to be able to bring you someone so phenomenal with such a diverse view of social media and so much skills is awesome. So let's get into it. I am going to ask you, firstly, how did you get into this?
I'll give you the short end, even though I could spend an hour telling you my story, because it's been quite the journey to get to where I am today. But really, my journey started back in November of 2019. I was actually in the nursing program in my university. I had just barely gotten accepted, and I got an email that basically said, like, good luck having a life, because nursing it's a lot of work. And I mean, in any college program, it's a lot of work as well. And I was like newly married at the time. I didn't know, I was thinking about how am I gonna make money to make a living. And so I started looking for opportunities that were flexible jobs where I could, work from my phone or work, just on the go. And so I came across network marketing. I started in network marketing, and I worked that through my very first semester of nursing school. And then the pandemic hit. As we all know, everyone's world's kind of turned upside down. My nursing school suddenly went to online, and it's like, how are you doing nursing school online? And throughout this whole time, my husband just kept teasing me. He's like, so when are you going to drop out of nursing school? And I was like, not gonna happen. I worked my whole life to get here. But he did convince me. And by just like 6 months after that, in August of 2020, I ended up dropping out of nursing school, taking my network marketing business full time. So I was working that full time. And then fast forward to May of 2021, so almost exactly a year ago today, I had all these people who were in my direct messages because I was sharing, about Instagram and how I was making money on Instagram, and I love it. Like, this is 110% my passion, something I've always been super passionate about ever since I started my Instagram account in 2012. So it's something I've always loved. But I had all these people who were messaging me, and they're like, hey, how are you growing on Instagram, or how are you monetizing your Instagram? And I was like, hey, join my network marketing business. And they're like, wait, I'm already a business owner. I don't want to join your network marketing business. I already have my own thing going. So I felt like there was just like, I was missing out on helping so many other people. And so I then started sharing more Instagram tips and tricks on my Instagram account. And this was in May of 2021. I started a 30-day Reels challenge, and I saw all these other accounts who were blowing up on Instagram, like growing by like 10,000 followers basically overnight. And I was like, I want that. I was like, I think in May of 2021, I had like 3,000 followers on Instagram, and I was convinced that Instagram growth was dead.
3,000.
Yeah, just 3,000 1 year ago. So I have been there. I've had that small following. I know how that is. And so I started this 30-day Reels challenge. At the end of the 30 days, it was crickets. Like, nothing was happening. I didn't grow. And I was like, wait a second, this is not what I was expecting. But just, I had like the determination. I was like, I'm just going to keep going. So I went on for another for another 30 days to make it 60 days. Also, not really much happening. So I carried on for another 30 days. So now we're at 90 days. This is like end of July. And I grew from 3K to 10K and a 2-week period. And I got the swipe up link. I was like, I've made it in life. Like, this is my dreams. Like, and people were asking me in my direct messages, like, hey, do you do coaching calls? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to open up coaching calls. So I opened up my coaching calls and they booked out within 2 weeks. And I was like, holy, like, this is amazing. Like there's so much potential on Instagram for growth and opportunities for monetization. So I started in coaching calls, then I launched an ebook, then I launched my course, then I launched my membership. And throughout the whole process, I thought I would stop at 10K followers, but I just continued to grow and be able to be connected with people all across the world like you. To be able to be here is so crazy because, like I said, 1 year ago, I was at 3,000 followers. So if you're looking at my story and you're like, wow, she's grown 150,000 followers, like there's no way that's gonna be possible for me. Or, oh my gosh, she's speaking in front of 243 people. Like I never thought this was a possibility, but that's what social media does. It opens up so many different doors for you, which is so, so, so cool. So I hope that you keep your mind open as I am talking and answering questions and doing audits, because this is something that is 100% totally a possibility for you if you put in the work to make it happen.
And can I ask, how many are you at now? What's your following now?
I think I hit 164K like yesterday or something. So.
Wow. And for the average small business, because this is a small business forum, and
yeah,
one of the things that I'm conscious of is a lot of them don't have, like, it's not their absolute. I know 166, right? That's insane. A lot of them don't have the time to dedicate to this stuff every single day.
Yeah.
What kind of timeframes are you seeing businesses spending and getting results from? Like, if you were to go, I would be spending X amount a week. How long would it be? Actually, before I ask that question, let me ask in the chat. Can everyone put into the chat how many hours, or, if you're not spending hours, you're spending a week on creating Instagram content and on Instagram, roughly 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, 3 hours a week, 2 hours, 10 hours a week. It's a decent chunk of time, isn't it? I'm not sure if I spend that much time with my children.
I would actually be interested to know what you guys think, how much time I spend on Instagram.
That's a really good question. Okay, so put in the chat.
All day.
Yeah, put in the chat, but put M first so I can distinguish between what you're spending and what you think Mya is spending. Put in the chat Mya and then put equals and put the time that you think she's spending, or M. 1 day a week, 3 hours, 30 minutes a day, 10 hours per week, 4 hours a day. Go. What are you spending?
So I haven't actually ever totally sat down and calculated down to the minute what I'm spending, but about 30 minutes to an hour a day is, that's it. That's it.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's because I batch out my content. And batching has 100% changed my life. If I was creating content every single day, I would probably be spending 2 to 3 hours per day just on Instagram. But I would say on average 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day, and that's it. And this is my full-time job. So I'm not saying that that's even how much you should be spending.
But it looks like everyone is spending that time anyway.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you shouldn't be spending that much or you should be spending less, but it really is whatever your situation is. But I am never going to be the person that tells you that you need to spend 4 hours a day on Instagram, because it's not realistic. We all have lives outside of this. You're all business owners. I'm a business owner. And if you're growing on Instagram, but you've neglected your business, you're not going to be able to continue being on Instagram because you're not making money, So definitely finding that balance in there is really, really, really important. And I would say anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes a day is usually a good place to be. With that being said, though, again, it really depends on where you're at and also how big of a chunk social media strategy is in your business, which I think that that's actually a question that we might get into is like, should you use social media in your business? So we'll get into that as well.
Totally. Well, no, you go answer that question. So should you use social media in your business?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, again, what is your business strategy? You know, we're all business owners on this call. I'm assuming small businesses. That's who I work with, is product and service-based businesses. So I work with businesses all the time. I've worked with so many businesses, and all of them obviously are utilizing social media. And I think a lot of times we think like, oh, my business is, I'm a chiropractor, or maybe I'm a dentist, or it's maybe I'm a restaurant, or, you know, there's so many different niches and businesses out there. You might be thinking like, how can I even utilize social media for my business? Man, I've worked with so many different niches. I have worked with chiropractors. I've worked with therapists. I've worked with flight attendants. I've worked with skincare brands and jewelers and dog accounts. Like, I've worked with everything that you could basically work with on Instagram and in social media in general. And so I will say, yes, utilizing social media, I highly recommend it for your business, just because there is so much power in social media. And I wouldn't be here today without social media because of the connections that I've been able to make. So even if you're a locally based business, it still connects you with people all across the world. I'm a person that loves traveling, and I go onto Instagram to find places to travel to. So if you're a restaurant and you're a locally based restaurant and you're thinking, oh, I'm only serving local people, so why do I need to be on social media? For people like me who are traveling to Australia, who are traveling to, you know, wherever it is that you are, that's why you need social media, for the connection. And also because there might be people in your local area who don't even know about you until you are on social media, and then you show up on their explore page. So just recognizing that even if you're a local based business, and obviously if you're not a local based business too, you can still obviously take advantage of social media as well. So I highly recommend it. But again, it kind of just boils down to what your business strategy is at the end of the day. And also the last thing I'll leave with is, I think a lot of people think, oh, if I'm utilizing social media, I have to spend 6 hours a day on social media, or I have to spend 2 hours a day on social media. It doesn't have to be like one end of the spectrum or the other. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I only spend 3 minutes a day on social media, or, oh, I have to spend 6 hours. Like, there's a happy medium. And again, it's going to come down to like what fits best into your lifestyle. But as you batch content and as you become more comfortable with social media, you're going to be able to spend less time and still be able to see more results. And that's my whole entire slogan, is helping you to spend less time on Instagram and see more results, because I don't want Instagram to be my life. I don't want to be on the platform 6 hours a day. Like, that's unrealistic. And I recognize that that's unrealistic for you as well.
One thing I'm just going to pull out of that is the fact that you mentioned coming to Sydney. So we're working on that. You just seeded that, and we're going to get you here at some point soon. So just around, actually just picking up on about businesses being on social media, I'll give you all a little example of something that happened to me a few weeks ago. I got a notification live, and I jumped into this live, and it was Tracy Ellis in the US talking about hair care products. You can't get black hair care products in Australia. It's really hard. So she's talking about black hair care products. And before you knew it, I had dropped $200 on a brand that I'd never heard of, didn't know about. And I'm tight, people. I don't like spending money, and I definitely don't like spending money with brands I don't know. I'm a very loyal customer. So within like literally 5 minutes, I'd spent $200 because she was just literally talking about the brands. And I had this experience of the brand that I would not normally get if I was just reading a website.
Yes, and I love that. And I think that's another question is talking about, you know, how to convert your audience into paid for customers. I think that that's why this is where short form video comes in, because you said she was live, right? And you were watching her live. Yeah. That video, that interaction, like exactly what you said is exactly what I have in my notes right here. So I love that, where you're not able to look at a still picture, you know, like those flat lay pictures. There's things that you'd see on Pinterest and really connect with the brand. That's where short form video comes in, or live video as well, where you're able to see people talking, you're able to see people interacting instead of let's just say a picture of food. You have a reel now where you see someone eating the food, and maybe they're talking about what their experience is with that food. which restaurant are you more likely to go to? Just a picture of food, or someone who like you see someone who's actually eating it, actually enjoying it? I don't know about you, but I'm way more likely to go where I see the people who are actually consuming it. And it's because we connect with people. We don't connect with products. We don't necessarily connect with businesses. We connect with the messaging behind that, which is the people and the connection behind that. So that's really how you're going to convert your audience into paying customers, is through that connection. And each business is going to be unique, right? Because the way that a restaurant does it is going to be different than the way that I show up on social media. And I understand that. And I'm not saying that you necessarily need to put your face on camera, but really thinking about the way that people actually interact with your product and how you can make it come to life, how you can share your story. And I think that that's the next thing that I would say about short form video is sharing your story. Like, we're able to see people's stories and be more authentic and be more vulnerable. And that's where we're almost bringing social media back into like what social media used to be, with like, the connection. Like, there was like that connection right there at the beginning of social media where, you know, we're pretty authentic and vulnerable. And then it got into like these like perfectly curated pictures. And I feel like we're kind of going back to the more authentic and vulnerable state, because we realized as business owners that that's what people connect with best. Anytime that I hop on and I share my story, hundreds of DMs are rushing in because I'm sharing who I am, and people connect with me on a way deeper level than just me sharing a picture of who I am. Hopefully that makes sense.
Totally. And, you know, I always say this video gives us the closest thing to a real world connection. And as much as this digital stuff enables us to do things faster and quicker, we're all human and we want real world connections. That's what drives us, fuels us. And therefore video gives us that. So it is so important for keeping connected to customers. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we might get into the case studies so that we've got time for questions at the end, because they're going off. Should businesses pay to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and other social media channels?
So if you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm not a big advocate for running ads. It's not because I have anything against running ads, but I have grown organically 100, like all of my growth has been organic. I have not paid for any type of ads. I ran ads before I started my Instagram growth journey, which I call it my Instagram growth journey, which started in May of 2021. But when I was running my network marketing business, I ran ads and I didn't see any growth from it. And I think a lot of times, at least from my personal experience with my clients, I'll have a client who comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm running ads and I'm not seeing growth from it. And oftentimes it's because their account isn't actually optimized to convert those viewers into followers in the first place. So if you're not converting organic viewers into followers, I don't recommend paying for ads, because paying for an ad is almost like putting a Band-Aid over it. It's not really fixing the problem. So what I would say, if you want to run ads, again, I'm not against ads. I'm not saying you can't run ads. I know that some people's businesses thrive off of them, which is great. But if you're not seeing the results that you want to, I would say take a step back from ads, make sure that your account is actually optimized to turn those viewers into followers organically. And then once you've done that, then you're going to have such better results from those ads. And you're not going to be just like throwing money out the window, because that money is actually going to be then converting into either followers or converting into customers, which at the end of the day is exactly what you want to do. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
I love that. And, you know, if any of you watched my session last week, I preach exactly the same thing from an SEO and website perspective. There's no point in paying for Google to drive traffic to a website that fundamentally doesn't convert. So you have to get the foundations right first. I love. So based on optimizing sites, we're going to bring in a couple of case studies and you're going to walk through their accounts and give everyone some real practical tips on how they can improve. So the first one we've got is Vicky from Crate Day. Vicky, do you want to jump on and quickly tell us your story? There's always an awkward wait, always. Hi, Vicky, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us about your business?
Sure. So I'm Vicky. My business name is Crate Day. I've always been someone that just loves birthdays and Christmas and presents and all that stuff. But I always found buying for men in particular to be a bit boring and frustrating. because they never know what they want, and I always end up buying a gift card to Bunnings or something just as boring. I created Crate Day. It's gifts that guys love, like beer and jerky and barbecue stuff, and then we put it in a wooden crate. But to make it something that women love, we seal the crates shut, and the guys actually have to pry it open with a little pry bar. And you can choose how hard or easy you want to make it, but I guess it's about making it an experience as well as a gift that the guys love.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to bring up your account and then Mya is going to talk through it.
Awesome. Okay, if I'm looking over here, I wrote down some notes because I want to make sure that we have taken advantage of all the time that we have. So
Thank you.
I like to start audits with top to bottom. So we'll work through your bio, then we'll go through highlights, and then we're going to go down into your feed and work through this. And sorry, this is a little bit quick, but I want to make sure again that we get through everything. So starting with your bio. So your username and your profile picture are great. Keep it. Something that I would add to your bio is a keyword in your name. So you have Crate Day right there, but you want to add a keyword like gift boxes or gift boxes for men there. Okay. This is SEO friendly. So this is like the beginning stages of SEO on Instagram where you're able to actually search. So if I were to go into the search bar and you had the word gift boxes in your name, even though your username doesn't have gift boxes in it, your account is still going to come up. So this is basically a way for you to show up to your ideal customer. So gift boxes for men, gifts for men, something along those lines. Yeah. And something that I like to do when I'm going to try and figure out what that name is actually going to be is I'll just search a few different keywords in the search bar on Instagram, and then I'll see what accounts come up. And I want my account to come up around similar accounts. It doesn't obviously have to be the exact same as yours, but you do want to show up around similar accounts, and you want to make sure that that keyword is something that other accounts have in their name and their bio as well, because again, you want to make sure it's something that's actually being searched for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, then moving down into the lines of your bio. So I would recommend breaking up in the lines in your bio, so it's not just one paragraph, so it's a little bit easier for people to read. So that very first line, having it as, I recommend having 4 lines. The first line is going to be Crate Day is about making gift giving for men fun again. You might have to change around the wording a little bit, just depending on if it's going to move down to the second line. Getting a little bit more concise, but something like that along that on the first line. The second line, I recommend having something that almost like highlights the feature. So something this is just something I thought of, would be like pre-curated gift boxes or create your own. I don't know if you give them the option to personalize, but that could be something in there as well. And then on the third line, that's where you're going to have from the Central Coast delivered anywhere in Australia. So again, you want to make sure that that's there, especially if you're not shipping like worldwide. You want to make sure that people know that you're not shipping worldwide so that they're not disappointed. And then your fourth line is going to be your call to action. So what do you want people to do when they tap the link in your bio? It's probably to grab a crate box. So you want to make sure you have words there that say like grab your crate box below. Maybe you have an arrow or like the emoji with like the finger that points down to the link in your bio.
Okay. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, then moving down into your highlights. I recommend having curated highlight covers. So this could be a picture or it could be just a let's just say like a plain background with a cute graphic on it or something along those lines, just so it helps with the branding of it. So it also matches more so top to bottom. Like what I mean top to bottom is I want to look at your profile picture, I want to look at your highlights, and I want to look at your feed, and I want them all to be branded together.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, these are the highlights. So these little buttons up here.
Yep. And another thing that with highlights is I would add a few more highlights. I would add like a gift guide highlight is something I thought of. Okay. Maybe a team highlight. If there's only you, then just highlight that it's just you. And that's awesome. I love that. So highlight that like, it's a one woman show, and that's amazing. I'm always looking for businesses out there to support that are one woman shows. Maybe you could do, I know you have happy customers, but you could also do, you could separate separate the two. So you could have reviews, but then you could also have story mentions. So anyone who has tagged you in a story and you've reposted that, you could have a separate highlight for those two. You don't have to do it that way, but just adding more highlights that way. And then if you do the custom or create your own boxes, having a highlight in there that kind of mentions that, because I feel like that's something that's super unique. That's something that's super cool. And so letting them know like, hey, here are the different options, or maybe you show a video of, you know, you packaging different boxes, whatever that is.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, moving down into the Reels section. So actually, before I go into, we can go into Reels because Kelly just switched over. So there are a few things, and I'm just going to run through these things. These are not necessarily like strategy things. These are just small little tweaks. So removing the TikTok watermark. You can do this by using SnapTik or Musical.ly down. You can just type those into Google, and then you can copy the link of your TikTok and you can remove the watermark that way. The TikTok videos are totally fine on Instagram. Just make sure you take off the watermark. Make sure that the pictures that you're using in your Reels are full screen, 9:16. So you don't want that black bar top or bottom. The algorithm doesn't like it. So just making sure that they're full screen, and you can take that into a different app to make them full screen. Or I think Instagram also has like there's like two little arrows that show up that make it full screen. It does crop it a little bit, sadly, but it's better to have it that way because the algorithm's going to push it more when it's full screen versus like landscape per se.
Yeah.
I would recommend using more video instead of pictures and Reels when possible. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the call, where video just, there's so much more connection in video than there is with a product picture. It doesn't mean you can't share product pictures. Like, for example, you could share a reel that said, you know, maybe like my top 5 best-selling products or something along that line, and maybe you want to share pictures of those products. That's totally fine, but I would definitely utilize video more than pictures. Having text on the screen when necessary. I do recommend having text on the screen majority of the time, just because there are people like me, for example, who don't listen to Reels with the audio on, and a lot of times the audio is either funny or it's entertaining, it's, you know, eye-catching. I guess it's not eye-catching because you're listening to it, but it catches your attention. And so if someone's not listening with the audio on, say that they're at work and, you know, they're scrolling through Instagram, they don't want to turn the audio on, you want to make sure you're still capturing their attention through the text somehow. So it could say like, before ... after ... or like come behind the scenes with me as we do whatever it is. So it doesn't necessarily have to be on the screen the whole time, but having some sort of text on there that is engaging, which is called the hook, because you really do want to get people to watch your reel past 3 seconds. You want them to watch it from very start to the very end, because that's best for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Mya, can I just add something on the algorithm? So just for those of you that you know, that don't know how the Instagram algorithm works, and Mya's going to go through and give you lots of tips on that. Essentially, you've got to tick some boxes. So if you imagine it as a ladder and you're climbing up a ladder, you know, Instagram will give you 1 tick for doing, let's say, video, or for having a good bio. And then you get you go up the ladder 1 step. Then it will give you another tick for something else. It will give you a tick, as Mya said, for the full screen images, and that raises you up. So each time you tick an Instagram box, you will go up that ladder and it will give you more exposure. So just think of it in terms of getting up the ladder and ticking all the boxes.
I love that. Yeah, and these are all, like I said, these are not like necessarily strategy. These are just like, yeah, ticking the boxes. Another thing is text on the cover photo. So even if you don't necessarily have text within the reel, I definitely recommend having text on the cover photo. Let's just say I watched one of your reels, showed up on my Explore page. I love it. I come over to your Instagram account. I don't want to tap into every single one of your reels to see what it is that I'm going to be watching. I want to see the behind the scenes. Maybe I like behind the scenes videos. How am I supposed to know which one of those is a behind the scenes video? Because there's no text on there. You do have a few of them that do have text on on there. So just making sure that you add text throughout all of them on the cover photos.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean it has to show up on your feed, because you can crop your cover photos so that the text doesn't show up on your feed. So for branding, if you're like, I don't want the text on my feed, that's totally fine. But making sure that there is text on there somewhere, and that text is branded, which leads me into the next point. So choosing either 1 to 2 fonts, sticking with those 1 to 2 fonts, choosing your font colors, which is probably like that bluish color that you have within your logo. And it doesn't have to be that color though. If you just want to do plain simple black and white, that's what I do because it's easiest, then that's great too. But sticking with that so that your reels become branded, because something that's really important within reels is, again, let's just say I'm scrolling through the explore page. I saw one of your reels last week. This week I'm scrolling through the explore page again and I see another one of your reels. Am I going to be able to recognize that?
Yeah.
You want that brand recognition within your reels. That's really going to help you to grow. I have people say that all the time about me. They're like, I've seen you like 16 times in my explore page, you know, like that's what you want. You want people to recognize you. So making sure that you have that recognition through, obviously you can do that through like the filters that you use and the things that you share as well, but text and like the color that you're using is really important too. And that will also be reflected of what you put on the cover photo too. I have a few, just like, I'm just going to roll off a few ideas of real ideas that I have for you. So behind the scenes of packaging, behind the scenes of sending off a package like in the mail, behind the scenes of taking product pictures, what does a day in the life look like as a business owner, what is the story of Crate Day. I know that you kind of shared that at the intro before we started talking, so sharing that in a reel, you know, what is the story? That's, for me personally, as you were sharing that story, I was like, check, all those things I can 100% relate to. And I'm like, I need to buy one of these for my husband because I totally can relate. And I feel like every other woman out there can also relate. So sharing the story, and that goes back to, you know, how can you convert these followers into customers? It's by connecting with them. You understand their pain point. What is their pain point? It's the fact that they are struggling for hours to find the perfect, you know, gift for their spouse or their partner, whatever it is. And that's where your gift comes in. So really honing in on that, you know, having reels that say, hey, are you struggling to find a gift for your husband or for your husband for Christmas? Crate Day. Like, that's exactly where your product fits in, and that's how you're going to then convert these followers into customers. Should every single one of your reels be exactly that format? No, don't recommend that, but adding that in there is how you're going to convert those followers into customers. So continuing on with reel ideas, you can say, watch us build our blank box. You could say like birthday box or, you know, Father's Day box, tour of your little space, even if it is a small space. One of my best, I guess, commented on, engaged with reels is when I shared my office. And my office right now, we just moved into a new house, but my office was literally my storage room. And I had so many people who were like, this is so relatable. Thank you so much for sharing this. So just know that you're still going to be able to connect with people out there, even if you have a smaller space. I don't know what your space looks like, but just keep that in mind as well. Yeah. So sharing that, I love that. You can share user-generated content, share a transformation. What does your first Crate Day box look like versus what your products look like now? Creating a series or collection of reels is also another great way. And then how can you reuse the Crate Day boxes if you can, or maybe you can recycle them, hitting on that as well, that pain point of like people who are environmentally friendly. I don't know if that plays into that.
Yeah.
And then also there are always small business trends that are going around. I was just listening to one just today that said, like, how often do you think about your small business? So you don't have to jump on those trends all the time, but anytime that there's like a fun audio that says like, hey, this is about a small business, or, you know, are you sharing a product, jump on this trend type of thing. So just listening for those as well.
Mya, how do you find those trending audio?
So there's a lot of different ways to find trending audio. I actually share trending audio. I call it my trending audio report every Monday morning in my university. So if you want to join that, makes it easy. I share product-based audios as well as ideas, and same for service-based audios and ideas as well. If you want to go out and find it your own though, you can just scroll through like the little Reels Explore tab, and you can look for the little arrow in the bottom left-hand corner. It's a trending audio arrow. You can find it through there. You can follow accounts like mine, for example, where I'm always posting different trending audios, or you can go out and find other product-based business accounts who are always posting trending audio and find it through there. So that's going to make your life easier if you just go out and find accounts who are always posting trending audio. That's what I do personally to find the trending audio that I look for, is I just follow like 3 to 5 different accounts who are always posting trending audio. Their content is always really great. I'll just look through the audio that they're using.
Awesome. All right. I'm conscious. Shall we bring on Mish? Do you want to do more on Crate?
I have one last section.
Okay, go.
Can I get through it? Okay.
Go.
I'll go really quick. So on your posts, use more hashtags. I recommend 25 to 30. Get specific on your niche, which is obviously these gift boxes, but what is the pain point of your ideal follower, and focusing on your ideal follower and the hashtags that they would be looking for as well. Number 2, utilize 2 different types of call to action statements. So you have your traffic call to action statements and your engagement call to action statements. So a call to action statement is going to be something like follow along for more tips or follow along for more gift ideas. That's going to be an engagement. You're going to have your traffic, which is going to be something along the lines of, tap the link in my bio to purchase a box, or drop a heart emoji in the comments and I'll direct message you a link to the Crate Day boxes, something along those lines. So you have these 2 different types of call to action statements. Switch off between them, but use them on every single post. I know it seems like you might be annoying people, but people have to know what to do next after they consume your post, and that's where that call to action statement comes in. 2 more things really quick. Try out memes or Twitter-like quotes as posts, because those are pretty relatable. You don't have to do those, but that's just something that within the gifting industry, it can be kind of funny if you find a meme that says something like, I don't know, women are looking for gifts and there's something about a man, I don't know, something along those lines where it's kind of funny and it's relatable. And then the last thing is continue posting your product pictures. Even though product pictures aren't the best way to grow on Instagram, they're still super, super important for product-based businesses because people want to know what it's going to look like. So that's all.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was incredible.
Yeah, you're so very welcome.
Love it. Maya, do you ever breathe?
No.
No. So one thing on that, I always have this kind of when I'm talking to retailers. Thanks, Vicky. When we're talking to retailers and hospitality, and they're posting on Instagram, they're always worried about putting too many call to actions on. And I always say, putting an Instagram post out there with no call to action is like turning up for a coffee, and that's okay sometimes. But if you really want to do business with people, and you really and we're not seeing every single post that you post. Yes. No one is seeing every post. They're seeing 1 in 5 or 1 in 10. And so if you're not putting call to actions on all of them, or at least most of them or some of them, then you're missing out, and your customers are missing out, potential customers.
No, I think that's super important, because I get asked this all the time, is like, am I annoying people? And I'm like, not everyone sees, as much as we would all like people to see every single piece of our content, statistically about 40% of your content gets seen. Like if I am looking at Kelly, like I'm only statistically going to see about 40% of her content, unless like you've added someone to your favorites feed or something like that, and then you check that daily, then you're probably going to see their content a little bit more. But just know, like, keep that statistic in mind. Like, I don't say that to discourage you, but keep that in mind. Like, if you talk about something multiple times, the odds of someone seeing it every single time, not super likely, and that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got about 5 minutes for Mish, and then we're going to move to questions. So we've got 51 in the group. So, hi. We'll run through it. Michelle, hello, how are you?
Hi.
So lovely
to see you again. I'm just going to bring up yours. All right, go. Do you want to just introduce your business, Michelle? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure. So my name is Michelle, and I run Iko Mazesoba in Haymarket. We are a Japanese brothless ramen bar. Yeah.
Love it. I was looking at all of your food and my mouth was watering. I was like, I think I need to fly to Sydney just for this, I'm pretty sure. So okay, awesome. Let's jump right in. We got 5 minutes, so I'm gonna run through things really fast. So hopefully you guys can keep up. So starting with the bio again, name and bio, I would add something in there that is descriptive of your Instagram account, whether that's ramen noodles or maybe it's Sydney restaurant or maybe it's Sydney ramen, something along those lines. Again, type in the search bar, see what's out there, see what other accounts pop up. You want it to be similar to what it is that your account is going to be about. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about when I type Sydney ramen. So there's other accounts that come up. Sydney restaurant might be something that's a little bit better just because it's a little bit more broad. People are probably searching for that more so than ramen noodles. But you can kind of play around with that. And then making sure you add a call to action statement in your bio. So that very last line, you have brothless ramen specialist in Sydney. Great, keep that. Add a line at the bottom that says, you know, takeout or see our hours here or something along those lines. And then something I would recommend in your bio is, do you have hours? Like, do you have a storefront that is open? Yes or no? Or do you have takeout only? Like making sure that you add that in there because people want to know that right off the bat, even though these like Japanese letters and like messaging in there is great. It's not valuable for someone like me to look at that. Like I want the facts. I don't want this fluff. Like add the fluff elsewhere in your highlights and in your, you know, your post, your captions, anything like that. That's all great. But in your bio, I want to know, can I order from you? I want to know if you're open, especially if you are a restaurant. In your highlights, keep them updated. I recommend anything that's basically over 100 weeks old to delete it, just because as a content creator, you've probably gotten better at creating content within 100 weeks, unless it is a review or a testimonial. That's the only time I recommend keeping ones that are older than that. You can definitely like take that content and just repost it, like make it better to like how you are as a content creator now, and then put it back in that highlight. That's exactly what I just barely did with one of my highlights just last weekend. So that's totally fine, but just making sure that that's updated, because you always want your brand to reflect where you are right now. And then add a highlight that features your local home delivery is the only other thing that I would add into your highlights. And then in your reels, so I want more reels like your at-home truffle twin pack reel and the behind the scenes reels. I love those. I want to see more of them. Again, I want to be able to connect with your brand, and I'm going to be able to do that in your reels. So definitely keep posting those reels. Create a series, like for example, menu items part 1, and maybe you run through every single item that's on your menu and you just do one reel that highlights all of those. Series are great because if someone likes one of those, they're going to go back and look at the other ones. They're going to binge them, which is going to help you to grow. And then so like take your meal with you. So show places where different people take their meals. You could even create a challenge for your followers and saying, hey, you know, share a video of where you take your meals with you, especially since you do that local home delivery. You say like, hey, share a video and we can do this challenge, maybe do a giveaway, something along those lines. And then it also gives you content in return, which is great. You can share home delivery, share where they're eating in their home, share the story behind your brand, share your restaurant space. Share a video of you putting the finishing touches on a meal, so kind of like an aesthetically pleasing video. Share a video start to finish of someone ordering from their phone, and then share them, share them ordering on their phone, someone prepping that order, someone delivering that order, and then someone like the customer picking it up on their doorstep and then unpackaging it and then eating it with their friends and family. That right there, that's connection. I'm going to be able to visualize like, this is exactly what it's going to be like when I order from you. And that's exactly what you want. Lastly, top 3 best foods is just another real idea as well. And then lastly, posts. Your hashtag amounts that you're using is great. Continue on with that. You can utilize memes as well. It might be something that works great, might not be. That's totally fine. Whatever works best for your brand, just something that I was thinking of. Love all the product pictures. Your product pictures are very high quality. They are great, but I definitely would say if you have to choose between product pictures and reels, definitely try to post a little bit more reels than the product pictures. If it's a time thing, I would say spend a little bit more time on the reels versus the product pictures. And then use call to actions in your caption as well, just like I was talking about on the last account. You have your engagement and your traffic, and make sure that you utilize both of those.
So Maya, Michelle could turn some of the product pictures into little reels, couldn't she? Rather than doing them just as images, she could do them as video.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like on that reel example where I said like top 3 best food, top selling, but you could say top 3 best selling foods for your restaurant, and then you could share like the pictures of those foods instead of you sharing videos. So yeah, you can definitely highly recommend repurposing content whenever you can. But also, same thing as I was talking about before, anytime that you do have the opportunity to do video over pictures, I do recommend choosing video just because it's called short form video, and it's going to perform a little bit better just because it's more engaging than looking at a still picture. That being said, it's okay to use pictures for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Does that help, Michelle?
Yes, a lot. I have so many ideas for you. Thank you.
That's
You're
so
very welcome.
exciting.
Sorry,
I
it
can't
was
wait
so
to see you
fast.
grow.
Good. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get into questions. So let me just open up the Q&A. All right, if I delete an image from my feed, am I mucking up the algorithm?
No, but I don't recommend deleting an image from your feed unless, like, for example, there's a really bad Reels glitch that's going on right now where like the text gets all muddled, and like let's just say that you misspelled a word and it completely changes like the meaning or the information that you're trying to share. Something along those lines, I would say then delete it. But otherwise, like, it's okay to have something that's not perfect on there. We're not perfect human beings. I like to say we're striving for progress over perfection. So if it's about your feed aesthetics, then leave it. It's okay. It'll be pushed down in your feed. I know how that is. I promise. If you scroll back through my feed was like perfect aesthetic to perfection, and now it's just like, it's okay. Release yourself from that, provide value, and really focus on what your ideal follower is needing versus that. But is it going to be the end of the world if you delete one photo? No, it's not gonna. The algorithm's not gonna hate you if that's what you're asking.
Cool. Batching is a big question. How do you batch?
So, man, there's a lot of
massive time hack.
Yeah. There's definitely. I mean, I could probably spend a whole hour just talking about batching, but the way that I personally batch, so I batch out my reels every 2 weeks, and I batch out all my other content, like emails, everything like that, once a month at the beginning of the month. So my carousel post, my infographics, carousel post, for those who are wondering, is just where you can swipe through, so it has multiple slides. I batch those out one time a month. And the way that I personally organize things is on a Trello board. Some people use Asana or Notion, whatever works best for you, great. What I will do is I have my idea dump list or a brain dump list anytime I'm like in the shower or I'm driving. I don't text and drive, don't recommend that. But anytime that you're anywhere and an idea pops in your head, you're gonna write it down on this list. And then from there, I will then plug that into my content calendar. And my content calendar is just broken down based off of my content strategy. So I post 6 reels a week. I usually post like 2 to 3 carousel posts or static posts. So I will just plug things into my content calendar. And then when I go to sit on my batch day, I have these ideas that are already there for me. So I don't have to sit down. I don't have to think of the ideas. I don't have to sit down and come up with the audio because I've kind of collected all these things leading up to my batch day. And I think that that's like not necessarily the biggest mistake, but for me personally, like that was the biggest learning curve for me, because I would, on my batch day, I would sit down and I'd think of the ideas, I'd think of the audio, then I'd have to obviously film it or create it. And then my batch days were like 6 hours long. Now my batch days are like 1 to 2 hours long, and I'm creating like 14 to 20 reels in that time period, which sounds insane. And it's going to take you time to like figure out what your flow is. For me, it's taking me a long time to figure out what my flow is, but the more that you do it, the better you're going to get. And it's going to make your life so much easier, because I can batch 14 reels in 2 hours. Like, that's editing, that's adding text, that's adding caption, everything is done. And so that's why I can spend so little time on Instagram, because I'm batching out my content in advance. So to recap on that, collect your ideas beforehand and then plan out when your batch day is, and then just get everything done during your batch day. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, totally. And actually, one of the ideas, or one of the things that you gave me last time we spoke, was just when you're scrolling through Instagram, because you're more likely to be shown businesses a bit like you, just because that's what you look at in terms of content. So hitting the little save button, the little kind of jagged save button, saving that. So then you've got this kind of, if you like them, you know, you've got this kind of real bank of
Portfolio.
ideas.
Yeah.
So when you come to batching, you can kind of look at other people's posts and go, oh, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do a different take on it. The other thing is Mya has very generously given 100 hook ideas. So Rachel will stick that in the chat. Thank you, Rachel. And you can go and download that. So there's 100 ideas for Instagram reel hooks. Okay, so how much time is spent actually creating the content?
For me personally, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I would say if you're talking like actually creating the content, like 4 hours a month,
Okay.
I would say. But that's because I do a lot of prep work. Like we were saying, like I'm saving the audios to the reels beforehand. I'm collecting my ideas beforehand. I already have like my content calendar laid out. So I'm just like plugging things in from there. So that's why my process is so streamlined. But again, it takes time to figure out what your process is going to be and what works best for you. Some people have like Excel spreadsheets and they're like super in depth, but like for me, I'm like, I'm not going to have the time if I think of an idea to like plug that into my Excel spreadsheet. So that just isn't what works best for me. But if that's how your brain works and that works best for you, then that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. How do you choose hashtags?
So for me personally, I will look at my competitors and I will look at the hashtags that my ideal customers or my ideal followers are using. How do I find that person? I usually find them in my comment section or in my direct messages. Or now that I have a membership, I'll look at like students who are in my membership, see what hashtags they're using and using those. And then the third way is by typing in a hashtag. So let's just say I typed in hashtag Sydney, Australia. There's going to be other hashtags that pop up underneath that are like recommended hashtags. So then using those recommended hashtags as well. So those are like the 3 ways that I personally, you can also use Flick. I think it's just FLICK. It's a website. You do have to pay for it, but I've heard a lot of great things about it. I've never personally used it. And they generate hashtag groups for you. So if you're like, I don't even want to think about it, I just want someone to do it for me, that's a great resource.
Love it. Okay, I love this one. Tips for imposter syndrome.
Oh, I think the only way to overcome imposter syndrome
We all have it, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like being on this call right now, I'm like sweaty pits. Like, yeah, like that's 100% me. Like, I'm like, how did I even get here? I was telling you my story. I was at 3,000 followers just a year ago. So like I 110% relate to that. And every single day, like I wake up and I'm like, I am so blessed, but like, how did I get here? You know? So it really is action. And I think it's just going back to progress versus perfection. And I think a lot of times like we get held back. And the reason why our imposter syndrome comes up is because of the definition of like perfection in our head. At least that's how it is for me. I'm such a perfectionist. I'm like, I want to know all the facts. I want to know all the information. I want to have the perfect website before I launch. I want to have the perfect Instagram post. I want to be an expert in reels before I start creating reels. I know how that is, but at the end of the day, like that's just not realistic, right? You're not going to be able to become an expert without first like starting on step 1 or day 1 of your journey. We've all been there. The only way to grow is by starting. And so I think really focusing on the progress versus perfection and thinking, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be an expert the first time that I create reels. I wasn't an expert. I still have my first reels. If you want to scroll back to the beginning, you can laugh and you can comment. Like I will be here to cheer you on. Like I know how that is. But just also recognizing that like you can't compare yourself to someone who's on day 365 of their journey when you're on day 1 of your journey. Like it's just not realistic. Like for me, when I've spent like literally thousands of hours within the last year perfecting what I do so that I can become an expert in that, like it's not realistic for you to compare yourself to someone like me if you're on day 1 of your journey, if that makes sense. Like it wouldn't be realistic for me 1 year ago to be like looking at me who I am now and being like, oh, like I can't even start because she's way over here and I'm way over here, right? So that's my best piece of advice. Yeah, but again, like Kelly said it best, like we've all experienced it. We are all experiencing it. Like just know you're not
constantly
alone.
Yeah, constantly. Hey, I'm conscious of time. Have you got another 5-10 minutes or do
Yeah.
you have to run? Oh my
No, I'm
goodness.
good.
Okay. So everyone just type in the chat if you're okay to stay for another few minutes. I could stay for hours. But okay, great. All right. We're going to keep going for another 10 minutes because there's so many questions in the chat. Sorry to the city of Sydney. I hope this is okay. All right. So after the imposter syndrome, the question around what do you use to plan? So is there a tool you use to kind of plan and schedule in?
Yeah, so I use Trello and then just Google Calendars. Some people use Notion, some people use Asana. Just what it really is, whatever works best for you.
But actually for scheduling the posts?
I don't schedule my posts.
You don't? Okay,
Nope.
you just
If
put them in.
If you are going to schedule your posts, which I mean, that's a whole different topic that we can get into. I don't recommend it just because I believe social media should be social. If that's like the only option for you to show up on Instagram, then great, utilize that. I'm not saying you can't, but again, I just recommend social media being social. And if you're just scheduling, then you're not putting the social in social media. But if you are going to use it, you can just use, I would recommend either Later.
Yeah.
Just Later.
I use Later.
Or why am I blanking on this? Oh, Facebook
Plan.
Business, which is like Instagram Business Suite as well. It's free. It's through Instagram, so it's 100% safe. Later is also safe as well, but that's just another one. Later has more features, different features. So there's a free version and then there's a paid for version that I would recommend.
Awesome. What strategies, and this comes up a lot, what strategies can I use if my business is an app? But the fundamental question is, how do I make my content interesting if I'm not really, if I don't feel it's, educational content is another one. How do I make it inspiring and interesting? How do I make an app? My business is an app. People are not interested in following an app. How do I make it inspiring and interesting?
That's a great question. I mean, your app serves a purpose. So even if I think a lot of times people think educational is like 5 tips for XYZ. It doesn't have to be that way for education. And I think another thing with education is we talk a lot about like providing value on Instagram. Providing value doesn't have to be education. Providing value can be inspiring and motivating. Providing value could be entertaining. So just recognize that like providing value, there's not one best way to provide value. But if you're an app, like I'm thinking of an app off the top of my head. I don't know what types of apps we have in here, but I was just using an app actually just today that I found on Instagram. So this is all perfect. She is a fitness, kind of like a fitness coach, but she doesn't do like any coaching. She just has an app that has all these different fitness ideas on there. And she posts so many funny reels. So if you're someone who works out in a gym, she's always posting about like almost like gym etiquette. So she's like, oh, you go to pick up dumbbells and you recognize that like everyone has dumbbells and like everyone has like 5 dumbbells and they're not even using them and like funny things like that. So she uses this humor to draw people in, and then they're like, oh my gosh, she also has an app. I love her. I'm going to go check out her app. And she has highlights in her Instagram bio that say like her reviews and her testimonials, and she has great reviews and testimonials. So someone like me is going to read that, and that literally sold me on purchasing her app. So her app is about like fitness and like what her daily workouts are, but that's not what her Instagram like content is about. So hopefully that helps like give you an example of like how to utilize that, but it really is just about thinking outside the box.
Got it. Perfect. We've got Claire, who is an illustrator, and she switched from personal Instagram account to creator. Is that bad for the algorithm? I know you've got some thoughts on this, so it's good.
Nope, it's great. That's being a creator account is what I recommend for like 99.9% of accounts. There's a business account, but you don't get access to the full music library. So you're going to have a hard time jumping on trends, hard time like even finding songs to put in your stories. So even if you are a business, I'm a business and I'm a creator account, you just get so many more features as a creator account, and there's a lot less restrictions on there. But there are certain times when you do need to be a business account. For example, if you're an influencer, some of the influencer platforms where you have to like connect for different brand partnerships or brand collaborations make you be a business account. So there are scenarios where you do have to be a business account, but I do recommend majority of the time being a creator account. So yeah, you're great.
Perfect. Should you use hashtags in bio?
No, because
No.
there's no way for you to be found through a hashtag in your bio. There's no way for you to be found through a hashtag in your stories either. And also within bio, talking about this subject as well, hashtags and usernames in your bio, unless you have to for like brand partnerships. Sometimes like realtors make you with like their agency. There are definitely different scenarios where I understand you have to do that, but if you don't have to, take them out, because what happens is someone taps into your Instagram account, then they're going to tap on that hashtag, or they're going to tap on that other Instagram account that you have linked in your bio. They're going to go check it out and they're going to go down this rabbit hole. They're probably not going to come back to your Instagram account, which means that they're not tapping that follow button, even though they probably wanted to, but they're just like down this rabbit hole. That's just how people work. They're like, oh, I'm going to check this out. Then I'm going to go check this out. And then they're like, wait a second, 10 minutes later, like, I don't even know how I got here type of thing. So I don't recommend it unless you have to.
Awesome. Oh, there's so many questions in here. I'm like, oh, I don't know which one to choose first. Okay, this one's an easy one. Do you suggest posting reels to your stories?
Yes. Views
Awesome.
on story views count as reel views, and story views of other people who have reposted your reel to their story also counts as your reel views too.
Perfect. Okay. And for those asking about putting the text over photo, we'll do a little video in the email that goes out this week. So look out for that. We'll do a little how-to video. What's the kind of posting schedule? How many should you be posting a week? What sort of mix should you be thinking? What sort of mix should you have?
That's a great question. It really depends on you. And this kind of goes back to, thinking about your brand strategy and your business strategy and your content strategy and your social media strategy. There's a lot of different strategies, right? And your marketing strategy. There's a million different strategies, but it really comes down to like, how much time do you have to spend on Instagram? I recommend at least 4 posts a week. I would say probably 2 or 3 of those to be reels, 1 of those to just be a normal post. I would say short answer, that's what I recommend.
Awesome. How do we keep up to date on the algorithm? Well, you follow Mya to start off with.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
the best thing you can
follow
do.
me. Outside of that, there's a lot of research, a lot of testing that goes into that, and that's why I exist, is so that you don't have to do that. So I would just say follow me. That's going to be the simplest answer.
Easy.
You can also follow Adam Mosseri, who's the head of Instagram. He comes out with updates, but he doesn't always explain what they are. So then come over to my Instagram account and I'll explain what it is.
Awesome. And what is the difference between reels and videos?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, reels show up differently in the algorithm than videos do. Videos are normally longer than reels, but I'm not even going to go into that because we got to make sure we answer more questions. So I'm not even going to go into that. I recommend reels over videos unless the video is like a live video that you did and then you saved it to your Instagram account, then that's great. Otherwise, focus your energy on creating reels.
Awesome. Years ago, I bought fake followers, and should I now get rid of them all?
That's a great question. It's hard to say. There are like 3 or 4 times when I recommend restarting your Instagram account. Buying followers is one of them, but also I have known accounts who have bought followers who are still growing on Instagram. It kind of just depends on, it depends on whether the algorithm flagged you or not for buying those followers. And it's hard to tell. If you are posting consistently for like 6 months and you have really good content and you're not growing, I would say you're probably flagged by the algorithm. It's not the case all the time though. So it's hard because it's not like there's not a one size fits all answer to this, but I do recommend, if they're not active, to remove them in small amounts. I'm going to say like 5 to 10 followers a day. That's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah.
Awesome. I've got one more about bio, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So Linktree in bio. So in your bio, you can put a kind of link that then gives people links. Yeah. What would you recommend?
I recommend doing a Linktree if you don't have a website where you have like your own link thing built in. I personally used Milkshake. It's just an app that you can use. I don't know why they called their app Milkshake, but they did. Milkshake is a Linktree app. It's not for milkshakes. That's just what I use. I loved it. It's different than Linktree because I feel like a lot of times people use Linktree. People are used to seeing Linktree. So Milkshake gives you a few different options, more customizable, but that's just what I personally use. And then there's also like Stan something. Why can't I think of it? It's something that's popular on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like Stan, gosh, what is it called? Stan something, and it's similar to Linktree, it's similar to Milkshake, and it's like Stan for creators or something, STAN. And that's another one that's really popular right now. There's not really a best way to go. It just kind of depends on whatever one you want to use.
Essentially, it just allows you to put different options in your link, in your bio, for people to then click through. So it strengthens your call to actions.
Yep.
All right. Oh my goodness, so much value. It has been awesome. And I cannot wait to get you to Sydney, honestly. Anyone else chipping in to get Mya to Sydney? We are organising that at some point soon. Yes, please. There you go. Everyone's like, yay, come to Sydney. All right, we will organise that and maybe do it in person. I'm just putting it out there because you put it out to the universe and then things happen.
I'm down.
So much. I want to say thank you to the City of Sydney, New South Wales Government's Business Connect programme for putting these events on and giving me the opportunity to talk to and spend time with some amazing people. Obviously, thanks to Mya for today's session. Yes, you will get the replay and you can slow her right down and watch when she does breathe in between, because she does. And you will get that. You'll also get the link if you can do the survey. I'd really appreciate it. And I really look forward to seeing you all next week. Have the best Tuesday. Thanks, Mya.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon. Bye.